No more lies, please. This is an open video letter to all upcoming candidates and Americans prepared to vote in the upcoming elections. Mr. President, candidate Romney, state and local candidates and incumbent representatives, as well as American voters and young people that are watching this system in action. Hello, I'm Akiba Howard, and there is a simple reason for this video letter: to demand that they tell us no more lies. You know, we've listened to them for long enough, and moreover, they have found interesting ways to get us to believe them. Well, it's simply not acceptable anymore, and in the state of our country now, we can't put up with this. I speak to you and they today with a collective voice of those that have seen this video and passed it on, through the collaborative voice of those that have stood in squares and parks and other public demonstration places in solidarity over being part of the 99%. I talk to you as a voter who's heard enough of the selective truths and wants to simply hear the real truth. No more lies. Okay, so here's the deal. First, to my fellow voters, put your foot down. Please stop accepting what you hear as gospel fact or otherwise the reality. Most of the time it simply isn't. Now, I'm not here to provide you with an opinion, rather to call on you to form your own, not theirs, yours. We can no longer tolerate the truth of the moment, not from our president, nor from any of the candidates for president, for Congress, state and local office, heck, for sheriff. It doesn't matter. The way we stop it, make demands. And we can start right now with this election. Now, let me speak clearly and directly to each and every one of the candidates running for office in this upcoming and hopefully every election from here into the future. Money does corrupt. Agree or not with the decision of the Supreme Court to undo years of functional regulation on election financing, there is a new world here. And in this new world, millions of dollars are making the lies easier to tell. The SuperPacs that support your candidacies, they are finding ways to skew truth such that your constituents have to find ways to believe those lies. This must stop. We've seen already commercials sponsored by these money growers that have been disavowed by certain candidates due to their blatant lies. But the subtle lies, they still air every day. And that's only part of the problem, as the lies actually have been around since before the time of super PACs and extreme TV buys. The bigger problem and the reality of why I decided to buy this domain and put up this video letter: government is broken. And the way to fix it has simply not been enunciated yet. I can see it clearly. In fact, most level-headed Americans can see it, and a good portion of the rest of the world can see it. Our government is broken. The way that you do governing is broken, period. Now, I'm not going to take this platform to open up all those floodgates of racism and demagoguery, zealotry, or any of the other possible reasons that such vitriol has emerged in this process, which has thereby precluded us from being a functionally governed nation. I'm going to leave that for those that are more educated on the topic than I. However, what is wrong is very obvious, and fixing it has absolutely nothing to do with what we've been spending our time talking about. Look, the economics of the country and the world are not the issue. Immigration is not the issue. Gay marriage is not the issue. But by the same token, the idea that simply being a businessman and having run a company and governed a state does not mean that you can fix what actually is ailing us. Ladies and gentlemen, what ails us is something buried deep inside us all. Whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, Tea Party, black, white, young, old, we simply don't like each other as much as we used to. And the reasons for that run very deep. Family breakdown, community dissection, a shift in how we network and interact with one another, and so many more. But the point here, we are not as connected. And as such, we do not any longer share a collective dream that we once all had. And here's the proof, because I'm sure there are detractors already working on a rebuttal. You ready? 9/11. On 9/12, we all had a collective purpose. Without question, we ushered in a new age of laws that protect and sometimes invade our privacy. We took on battles abroad to protect our shores. And no, this is not the place to insert that argument about there were no weapons. I get that, as do most of us. Key here, we fought those battles and we still are, whether right or wrong. At their inception, we were a collective of mind and needed to do the thing that was right for us as a nation. Not the only time either. There are other references like FDR and infrastructure rebuilding, the Iran hostage moments, even the polarity of Vietnam. We had, while opposing, two distinct views that brought those groups together, and ultimately as a country, we did find ourselves in the aftermath finding ways to force ourselves together. I mean, after all, there was a gas crisis on the way, right? There are so many more things that are the reason why we are at this place. But again, my point is simple. We have had a collective of mind in the past, and at those times, we found ways to almost like each other. At least enough to get some governing done. So as a quick translation for those that didn't get the last references, what I'm saying is this: there have been plenty of times in our recent and distant past where we have as a country been able to collaboratively govern as voting Americans and elected politicians. We're not doing that now. And this is why we have such disdain for things like the Affordable Care Act, relations with Israel, what to do in the Arabian Peninsula, how to handle Al-Qaeda, or get this one, whether or not to involve ourselves more in the Syrian civil war. You know, I actually heard the respected John McCain a couple weeks ago suggest on Meet the Press that we should go in almost guns a-blazing. And he found a way to justify why not to do this as a life-saving measure in the Sudan, but thought we should be protecting life in Syria. And yes, the blame was on the administration for not acting how Senator McCain thought we should. So within his story, there were half-truths that he used to justify his position. And those that love him and support him, they will find a way to believe those words, and there begets the crisis. But I digress. The problem that must be fixed, it's the inability to work together in Congress and as a collective American community, period. And that brings me to this closing thought. You know, not one of you have shared what you will do to fix this. And ladies and gentlemen, no business leader nor a sitting president can fix this problem without a functional plan, number one. And number two, some people on the other side of the aisle, whichever side that may be, who are willing to work together. So candidate Romney, to you I say this: I'm not a Republican. I do not agree with much of what you propose, but I can tell you this. I'm eager to hear some truth, and that could sway my opinion of you. It's not likely going to sway it towards a vote for you, but I'm sure that with this formula of truth, you can win many of the voters that are sitting on the fence about you now. To the general candidates from around the country hoping to be elected officials, listen carefully. Do not launch another one of those stupid campaigns that simply seeks to lie your way into office. It is unacceptable anymore, and we, the voting people, will call you on it. You know, it is possible to earn respect, which is really what we need right now. Respectable politicians. Stop laughing. We need respectable politicians to participate in this government. You can earn that respect by not bashing the other side to the point of not answering any direct questions about your policy. Respect in this manner is earned by you directly answering what you will do to put us on the right track. The rest is simple hyperbole, and it's so unnecessary. You know what? Maybe that'll become the mantra of the 99% movement. No more hyperbole. Finally, Mr. President, as you begin to roll out this campaign in earnest, I beg of you, as a supporter of yours 5 years ago and a hopeful supporter of yours this voting cycle, please, sir, do not begin with lies. You've already had to correct one problem with a potentially misunderstood advertisement, so trod this line very carefully without considering slipping to the other side. I can only support you this election cycle if you can stand above those that would do to you what I have described in this letter. Now, I also understand, Mr. President, that these years have not been easy for you. I cannot imagine the stress of this job you've chosen and been elected to. But I know that you have had an uphill battle from those around you that are in opposition to your administration and policies. I've seen it clearly, and no matter what the other side says, they have not been willing to work with you. But here's some more truth. Our side hasn't been very willing to work with them either. And that's my earlier point. That is what's broken and needs fixing. Look, you hooked us on the vision of hope a few years back. We all rode that high until we saw what was to come. And then Congress, along with the Supreme Court, rather diced up the situation. But you fought, and in my opinion, accomplished a number of wonderful things. But now you're asking for us to support you again. So let me say directly to you, sir, tell us no lies. Run this campaign on a platform of truth. As you know, we'll be watching and checking. Look, whole departments at TV networks are dedicated to discovering whether or not each of yours and everyone else's statements are actually true. So why not save us the stress of being mad, disgusted, full of shame because we're hearing more lies? Just tell us the truth, Mr. President. Just tell us the truth, Governor Romney. All of you, each of you. No, we can take no more lies, and that's simply the truth. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my point of view.